My name is Evelyn Carter, I'm 32 years old. And until a few weeks ago I genuinely believed I was living inside one of those quiet, successful marriages people point to and say, that's solid. I'd been married to Daniel Carter for 4 years. We met in college, dated for 3 and slid into marriage without fireworks or doubts, just a shared understanding that we worked. He was charming in a calm way. The kind of man who listened more than he talked. Ambitious without being reckless, safe. Daniel worked in marketing at a mid-sized tech company downtown. I worked in commercial real estate. We weren't flashy but we were comfortable. Mortgage paid on time, vacations planned months ahead, arguments that ended before bedtime, or at least that's what I thought. 3 weeks before everything fell apart, Daniel brought up his company's annual holiday party. It was a Tuesday night, pasta going cold between us. He didn't look at me when he spoke, just kept twirling his fork like he was. Buying time, the party's on the 15th, he said casually, too casually. I just wanted to give you a heads up about something. I looked up about what. He hesitated a fraction of a second, but I noticed. Claire will be there. Claire, his ex-girlfriend, I knew the name in the way you know shadows. Present but undefined. They dated in their mid-20s 2 years, long before me. Ancient history, he'd always said. Okay, I replied. And she joined the company about 6 months ago. Different department, we barely talk, but she'll obviously be at the party. There it was again. That tension behind his voice, like he was managing my reaction before it even happened. I just don't want it to be awkward, he added quickly. I know how stuff like that can feel. I laughed, not because it was funny, because it felt expected. Daniel, I'm not going to cause a scene at your work event because yours exists. Relief washed over his face instantly. I know, I just wanted to be upfront. I told him it was fine, and at the time I meant it, but something lodged itself in my chest that night. The way he'd rehearsed the conversation. The way his shoulders relaxed a little too much when I didn't push. I didn't say anything else. Fast forward to that Friday. I had to stop by the bank to finalize paperwork for a property closing. One of those glass-walled offices where privacy is mostly an illusion. I was halfway through signing documents when I noticed a woman in a tailored coat pass by the window. Tall. Dark hair, confident walk, nothing remarkable until I heard the banker next door say, "All right, Ms. Reynolds, that's $47,000 transferred to the joint account ending in 3849. I froze, not because of the amount. I deal in larger numbers every week, but because I saw her face clearly when I walked out. Later that afternoon, back in my car, curiosity turned into instinct. I opened Daniel's laptop, the one he'd left on the desk at home, company directory, marketing department. There she was. Claire Reynolds, senior account executive, the same woman, same face. My pulse thundered. That night I checked our accounts, every single one. None ended in 3849. No unexplained transfers, nothing obvious. Daniel came home like always, kissed my cheek, asked about my day, made a joke about traffic, and suddenly everything felt staged. I didn't confront him, not yet. Instead, I watched the way his phone stayed face down. The way he smiled at messages he didn't share. How he suddenly cared lot about how he looked before work. By Monday morning I made a decision I never thought I'd make. While Daniel was at work, I opened his old laptop. It logged in automatically. And that's when the quiet life I thought I had began to unravel. I wish I could say I hesitated. I wish I could tell you I hovered over the keyboard, wrestling with morality, telling myself a good wife would stop, would trust, would talk. But the truth is my hands were steady. Because by then, trust didn't feel like love anymore, it felt like self-harm. Daniel's old laptop wasn't password protected. It opened like it had been waiting for me. The desktop background was a photo of us from 2 summers ago. Sunburned, laughing, his arm wrapped around my shoulders like the world couldn't touch us. That image should have stopped me. Instead, it made my stomach turn. His email was still synced. I didn't even have to search at first. There were unread notifications, a little red number in the corner that felt like a heartbeat I shouldn't be hearing. I scrolled back 6 months, right around the time he'd said Claire joined the company, and then I saw it, an email chain. At first it looked harmless, professional, polished. Welcome to the team, excited to collaborate. Let me know if you need anything. Normal, boring, the kind of email no one would ever cry over. But then the tone shifted so subtly I almost missed it. Like a song changing keys. Claire, it's crazy seeing you again after all these years. Daniel, yeah, didn't expect life to bring you back like this. Claire, you look even better than I remember. Daniel, stop, you know I'm married. I stared at that line for a long time. You know I'm married. It should have sounded like a boundary, but it read like an invitation to step closer. Claire, I know, doesn't change the truth. Daniel, we shouldn't be having this conversation. And then not even a week later, Daniel, coffee just to catch up as friends. Claire, as friends, sure, Kept reading even though my hands were shaking now. Even though my chest felt tight like my lungs were losing space. Weeks passed in those emails, pages of them. Little jokes, old memories, references to places they used to go, things I didn't know Daniel even remembered. Then the messages got personal. Claire, sometimes I miss who I was back then. Daniel, I miss who we were. Claire, do you ever think about it about us, Daniel? More than I should, nothing explicitly sexual. No graphic photos, no I'm in your bed right now. But there was something worse, emotional intimacy. A slow, careful rebuilding of a bond that didn't belong to me anymore. I felt like I was reading my own replacement letter. 2 months ago there was an email with an attachment, a PDF. My finger hovered over it and in that second I realized something. Whatever I opened next would change my life. There would be no closing it, no pretending I hadn't seen. I clicked anyway. A lease agreement, apartment across town. 2 signatures at the bottom, Daniel Carter, Claire Reynolds, co-enance, start date December 1st. That's when the bank moment snapped into place like a lock turning. The $47,000 transfer, the joint account, they weren't flirting, they weren't confused, they were planning, and not in a vague someday way. In a calendar-marked, contract signed, money moved kind of way. My throat tightened. I tasted something metallic in my mouth. Panic maybe, or rage. I sat back in the chair and stared at the screen until my eyes burned. Then I did what I always do when something in my world becomes unstable. I went into strategy mode. I didn't confront Daniel, not because I wasn't furious. God, I was. My hands were trembling so hard I had to press them flat against my thighs, but because I knew how people like Daniel operate. If I confronted him without proof, he could rewrite reality right in front of me. He could cry, he could apologize, he could say Claire was just a friend. He could call me paranoid, he could delete everything, and I would have nothing but my own pain as evidence. So I waited and I gathered. That afternoon I called a friend from an old deal, a man named Mark Bennett who worked in private investigation. Mostly corporate fraud, embezzlement, background checks, but he owed me a favor and he knew the right people. When he answered, I kept my voice calm, almost clinical. Mark, I need help. What kind of help? He asked. I looked at the lease agreement again, the kind that proves I'm not crazy. There was a pause then. Okay, talk to me. I didn't tell him everything at first, just enough to get him moving. I emailed him screenshots of the lease, a few of the messages, Claire's information from the company directory. His reply came fast. Give me a week, 7 days of pretending. 7 days of sleeping next to a man who had already signed a future without me. And the worst part, Daniel was normal, affectionate even. He kissed my forehead when he left for work. He asked if I wanted takeout. He touched my lower back when he walked past me in the kitchen like he still believed I belonged to him. We had sex twice that week, twice. And both times I stared at the ceiling afterward, unable to stop my mind from whispering. Did he text her after this? Did he compare? Did he laugh about me? Living with him felt like living inside a beautiful house after discovering termites in the foundation. Everything looked fine, but every creak sounded like collapse. Then Friday came. The holiday party was the next night. Daniel spent the afternoon getting ready like it mattered more than anything else. He trimmed his beard, tried on 3 shirts, picked a cologne he rarely wore, the expensive one I bought him for our anniversary. I watched him from the doorway. He looked like the man I married, but I could feel it now, the distance behind his eyes, the way his reflection seemed rehearsed. In the car on the way to the party, he said it again, softer this time. Claire will be there. Just please be polite if you meet her. I forced a smile so wide my cheeks hurt. Of course, I said. I'll be on my best behavior. Daniel exhaled like he'd been holding his breath the whole ride, and that's when I knew. He wasn't worried about me making it awkward. He was worried about me noticing the script. The party was at an upscale hotel ballroom. The kind of place with gold lighting and a live DJ and waiters carrying trays of drinks like everyone in the room was too important to hold their own glass. 200 people, maybe more. Daniel immediately got pulled into conversations. Co-workers, managers, people whose names I didn't care to remember. I grabbed a drink and scanned the room. And then Claire's throat, I saw her, Claire Reynolds, standing near the bar laughing with a group of people like she belonged there more than anyone else. Tall, fit, dark hair pinned back, that same tailored confidence from the bank. The woman who had moved $47,000 like it was spare change. She looked calm, like she wasn't carrying a secret that could destroy my marriage. Daniel walked past her once. Their eyes met, and in that second something flickered between them. Quick, controlled, practiced, not love, not passion, something colder, agreement. He gave her the smallest smile. She returned it, and then they both looked away like strangers, a performance for everyone else, but I was close enough to see the truth underneath. At 8:00 p.m., Claire stepped out onto the patio, phone pressed to her ear. I watched her go. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in throat. This was the moment where I could stay inside, sip my drink, keep pretending, or I could follow the woman who was quietly packing my life into boxes. I set my glass down and I walked after her. The patio was quieter than the ballroom. The music dulled to a distant thump like a heartbeat heard through walls. Cold air brushed my bare arms, grounding me just enough to keep my voice steady. Claire stood near the railing, back turned, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, she said softly. I know. I'll handle it. I didn't announce myself. I waited until she hung up. Claire, she turned fast, eyes widening just enough to confirm recognition before she smoothed it away. Up close, she smelled like expensive perfume and certainty. Yes, she said, cool, polite, like we'd met at a networking event instead of across the ruins of my marriage. I'm Evelyn, I said, Daniel's wife. There it was, the crack, her expression flickered. Surprise, calculation, caution, all in the span of a breath. Oh, she said, hi, nice to finally meet you. She extended her hand. I looked at it for a second too long before shaking. Her grip was firm, confident, like she didn't expect me to pull away. He's mentioned you, she added. I'm sure, I said. Silence stretched between us, the kind that presses on your ears. I leaned my elbows against the railing, staring out at the city lights like we were just two women taking a break from a loud party. Do you bank at First National? I asked casually, her shoulders stiffened. Why, I thought I saw you there last Friday, I continued, voice light. I was in for a closing, small world, her jaw tightened. A lot of people bank there, true, I said. Not everyone transfers $47,000 into a joint account, though. The colour drained from her face, not all at once. Slowly, like blood receding under ice. That's private, she said, sharper now. Of course, I replied. I'm not prying, I'm just connecting dots. She stared at me, eyes narrowing. I turned toward her fully then. I know about the apartment, I said quietly. I know about the lease, I know about the account, I know about the emails. Her mouth opened, closed. You don't, I do, I cut in, calm, controlled. And I know the move-in date, December 1st, very optimistic. Her breathing picked up. She glanced toward the ballroom doors like she was calculating exits. I stepped closer, not threatening, just inevitable. Here's what's going to happen, I said. You're going to avoid my husband for the rest of the night. You're going to start looking for a new job on Monday and you're going to remove yourself from his life entirely. She scoffed, trying for composure. You can't tell me what to do. No, I agreed, but I can tell everyone what you've been doing. Her eyes flicked back to mine. HR, I continued. Your boss, his boss, compliance, finance. Anyone who cares about employees planning joint financial futures behind their spouses' backs. You can't prove. I pulled out my phone, opened a folder, screenshots, emails, the lease, bank records Mark had already sent me earlier that evening. Her breath hitched. I tilted the screen just enough for her to see. Try me, I said. For a moment I thought she might cry. Instead, she went very still. You don't understand, she said finally, voice trembling now. Daniel and I, we were together before. We just picked up where we left off. You picked up my life and started packing it, I replied. That's the difference. She swallowed hard. What if I don't? She asked quietly. I smiled then, not because I was happy, because I was done being gentle. Then tomorrow morning everyone in that ballroom will know exactly why you won't be coming in on Monday. Her shoulders sagged, a single sharp nod. Fine, she whispered. Good, I said, enjoy the party. I turned and walked back inside without looking back. The rest of the night felt unreal. Daniel stayed close to me, oblivious, laughing, drinking, wrapping an arm around my waist like nothing in his world had shifted. Claire kept her distance, didn't look at him once. At 10 p.m. Daniel leaned in and asked, Did you meet Claire? I smiled sweetly. Briefly, I said, she seems busy. He smiled back, relieved. I'm glad tonight's going smoothly. We left around 11:00. At home, Daniel kissed me goodnight and fell asleep within minutes. I lay awake until nearly dawn, staring at the ceiling, planning the rest of my life without him. On Monday morning, I called a divorce attorney. On Tuesday night, Daniel got a phone call. I watched his face shift from confusion to panic. What do you mean you're leaving? He hissed. Claire, wait, no, we had a plan. He closed the bedroom door. I sat on the couch and listened to his world collapse one sentence at a time. 10 minutes later, he came out, eyes red. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, he said quickly, just work stuff. I nodded because now I finally knew the truth. The plan had fallen apart and he had no idea why. By Wednesday morning, the house felt different, not quieter, just hollow. Daniel moved through it like a man who'd misplaced something important and was pretending not to notice. He checked his phone constantly, took calls in the hall, started packing when he thought I wasn't watching, but I was. I met with the attorney that afternoon. Her office smelled like lemon cleaner and old paper. She listened without interrupting. As I laid everything out, The emails, the lease, the joint account, the financial planning behind the affair. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. You did the right thing by waiting, she said. You have leverage, a lot of it. That word leverage settled into me like armor. Thursday morning, Mark called. You're not going to believe this, he said. Claire didn't just quit, she left the state. I sat up straight. What? Put in immediate notice. Monday, family emergency, she's heading back to Oregon. My chest tightened. Are you serious? Dead serious, and there's more, he added. She withdrew her half of the joint account, all of it. I closed my eyes. Daniel's money was gone. Mine, Claire's throat still sitting there. She hadn't just disappeared, she'd bylaid. That night, Daniel didn't even try to hide it anymore. His panic sat on him like sweat. He paced, he snapped, he drank too much wine and said nothing. Finally, I set my fork down. We need to talk, I said. He froze. About what? I looked at him. Really looked this time. About Claire, I said. About the apartment. About the $47,000 in an account I don't have access to. His face collapsed. No denial, no outrage, just tears. How did you? He whispered. It doesn't matter, I said. What matters is that I know. He tried to explain. Said it started as coffee. That he was confused, that she made him feel young again, that he hadn't decided anything yet. I stopped him with a raised hand. You signed a lease, I said. You moved money. You lied to my face for months. You already decided. He begged, promised, swore it was over. I told him I'd already filed, that he had 2 weeks to leave. He tried calling Claire, blocked again, blocked. She was gone. The divorce took 6 months. He tried to fight it at first until his attorney saw the evidence. Then he settled. I recovered half the joint account. Poetic justice. Daniel moved out. His reputation at work quietly unraveled. People noticed. They always do. As for me, I rebuilt. Work, friends, long mornings at the gym, silence that didn't hurt anymore. Sometimes I think about the bank, that glass office, that one sentence. If I hadn't overheard it, I might have stayed in the dark until December, until he was ready to leave. And maybe that would have hurt more or maybe less. I'll never know. What I do know is this. I walked away before I lost myself. If you enjoyed the story, hit like and subscribe for more story. Share this story. You are not alone. God bless you. Thanks for watching.